I've been doing film photography for over 4 years now, and honestly, there are just a few things I wish I knew from the beginning that would have saved me so much money and time. So that's what this video is about. Everything I know about film photography that allow me to shoot photos just like these that I think you should know too. So let's get into it. A $100 camera and a $3,000 camera won't make much difference to your film photos. What matters way more than the body is the lens. That's what affects sharpness, depth, and the overall look way more than the camera body itself. My go-to camera is the Canon EOS 55 and the lens is the Canon EF 35mm f1.4. Now, if you're trying to decide between a point and shoot or a SLR camera, let me quickly explain that to you. Point and shoots are compact and really easy to use. You can just pick it up and go, but they come with a built-in lens that you can't change. And we already talked about how much the lens matters. So you're basically locked into a lens forever with no flexibility. Now, a SLR is a camera where you look through the viewfinder and you're seeing exactly what the lens sees. Unlike a point and shoot where the viewfinder is just a separate little window and it's not that accurate. And because the lens detaches, you can swap it out whenever you want. So you can have different focal length, wide lens, longer lens, prime, zoom, whatever you prefer. You also have full control over your settings, so your aperture, shutter speed, ISO. It is definitely a camera you can genuinely grow with over time. So if you are serious about film photography, get an SLR. Now, when it comes to film stock, you have so many ISO options, Go 200, Ultra Max 400, Portrait 800, and so on. What that means is just how sensitive your film is to light. A higher ISO means more grain, a lower ISO means cleaner image. So on a sunny, bright day, you choose something like Kodak Go 200, and in low light conditions, you choose something like a Portrait 800. However, Portrait 400 or 800 often looks smoother and more refined than the Kodak Go 200 in my opinion, even at a higher ISO. So I actually looked into it and found that the reason for that is because Gold is a consumer grade film and Portrait is a professional grade. Gold gives you that chunky nostalgic grain and Portrait gives you clean, smooth, true to life tones, and that's why you might have heard that Portrait is the most popular and most loved film by many photographers. But here's the thing, the film stock you choose actually matters way less than most people think. What really makes or breaks your photos is where you send your rolls to be developed and scanned. A beautiful roll shot perfectly sent to a bad lab will definitely get ruined. The film lab you choose is everything. So make sure to use a dedicated film lab instead of a generic camera shop. Honestly, you could shoot on the cheapest film camera with the cheapest film stock, send it to a good lab, and your photos would look incredible. That's literally what I do. But if your photos are coming out muddy and shadowy, there could be two reasons for that. You're either underexposing it, which can be easily fixed, and I'm gonna talk more about it very soon, or your lab isn't good enough. So make sure to test a few different labs before you blame your camera or your film stock. Although one thing that really surprised me was that film photos still need editing. I thought film just looked incredible straight out of the scanner and that was it, but nope. Most film photos still need editing. It's way less editing than digital for sure, but you still need to make some adjustments to get exactly the look you want. So don't feel bad about having to edit your film photos in Lightroom. It's completely normal and most film photographers do it. Now, did you know you should be storing your film rolls in the fridge? Yep. Heat and humidity degrade your film over time. It can cause color shifts, grain, and loss of quality. I mean, if you are shooting your rolls within a few weeks, it's not the end of the world, but if you are storing them for months or past the expiry date, the fridge makes a big difference. Just make sure to take them out at least 30 minutes before your shoot so they reach room temperature and you avoid condensation forming on the film. Color film loves light, so when in doubt, overexpose slightly rather than underexpose. Underexposed films look flat, muddy, and shadowy, and there is not much you can do to fix it later. But color negative film, which is what gold, portrait, most film stocks are, has a lot of latitude, meaning it handles overexposure really well. You can overexpose by a couple of stops and your images still look beautiful, and it gives you so much more flexibility to adjust in editing after. Now, my personal setting trick is to set my ISO to half the box speed. For example, if I'm shooting with Go 200, then I'll set my ISO to 100. The camera thinks the film is less sensitive than it is, so it lets in more light, making the photos look brighter, better exposed, and with more details. That is my experience. You could, however, give it a try and see it for yourself. I know this trick can be a bit controversial, but I will die on this hill. Now, speaking of exposure, do you need a light meter? A light meter is a tool that measures the light in a scene and tells you the perfect exposure settings to use. A lot of photographers wouldn't dare to shoot film without it, especially indoors and in tricky lighting situations. But I personally don't bother using it. I'd rather just keep shooting and practicing and learn to read light naturally, even if it takes more time in testing. But to be honest, my Canon EOS 55 handles a lot of it automatically anyway. So I might get cancelled here, but I would say you don't necessarily need to use it either, especially outdoors during the day. I know film costs money, but don't hesitate to shoot, especially at the beginning. Get to know your camera, get confident with your settings, understand how light affects your results, and develop your first roll as soon as possible. Don't spend months collecting photos and then find out your camera has been broken the whole time. And always confirm you've run through all your frames before you open the camera. A normal film roll comes with 36 exposures, but sometimes you get more than that. If you open it thinking you're done and you're not, you'll ruin every single photo on that roll. And yes, I am speaking from experience. Film is light sensitive all the time, not just when it's loaded, so keep your rolls away from direct sunlight. And if you're traveling, never put your film through airport x-ray. It can completely destroy your rolls, especially with a higher ISO. Take them out of your bag and ask for a hand check every single time. Even if they try to convince you you should be fine, which they will 9 out of 10 times, but trust me, don't risk it. And the last thing, and honestly my favorite thing about film, is that it will make you a better photographer overall. Film is expensive. Every frame costs money. So before I press the shutter, I actually stop and think, is this light good enough? Is this moment worth it? Is my composition right? So it really helps you to slow down and become more intentional. I would confidently say my digital work got better because of film. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, and you can also find me on Instagram at Maju Weddings, where I post more of my photography work and some quick tips and tricks about wedding photography in general. So I'll see you there.